Assalamu alaikum story timers and welcome back to a new story time today. And today we have some special guests joining us who is going to learn all about Prophet Yusuf with us. Insha'Allah. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Yes, inshallah. And you're going to learn about Prophet Yusuf. Can you say Prophet Yusuf? Yes, Prophet Yusuf. And inshallah, we're going to do a review all about Prophet Yusuf. Last week, we talked a little bit about Prophet Yusuf's mean brothers and how they so evilly threw Prophet Yusuf inside of the well. They didn't care anything about Prophet Yusuf or his father. In fact, they tricked Prophet Yusuf and Prophet Yaqub, his father, and threw Prophet Yusuf in the well and then covered his shirt in blood so that they can pretend as though Prophet Yusuf was eaten by wolves. But Prophet Yaqub knew that this was not the truth, and he said that he will be patient and wait for Allah to help him. And now we get to our part of the story today. How did Prophet Yusuf make it to Egypt? We said at the beginning that Prophet Yusuf became someone very important in Egypt. Do any of you know about Egypt? Do you know where Egypt is? Yes, you may have remember from our previous videos that Egypt is in North Africa and there are pyramids in Egypt and so many amazing things to see. And Prophet Yusuf was also in Egypt. So, now let's get to the story so that we can find out how did Prophet Yusuf make it to Egypt. Let's first start with our dua. Bismillah wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. Ameen. So, Prophet Yusuf spent days in the darkness of the well. At the bottom of the well, he prayed to Allah for someone to help him. It was dark and damp, and he was surrounded by all of that scary water. And he couldn't get out because the well was too big. He tried and he tried to claw and climb his way out of the well. But alas, he could not. No matter what he did, he could not make it outside of the well. And that was very scary. But he knew that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would always help him. So he continued to pray to Allah, to ask Allah to bring someone who would help him come out of the well. So remember, kids, anytime that you need help, remember to always ask Allah to help you because no matter what happens, Allah can help you out of any situation. So if something's very difficult for you, or if you are feeling scared, you have to remember to always make dua to Allah. So, a caravan was arriving from Egypt to Canaan. And they decided to stop for water because they were in the middle of the desert and there was no water there. It was very, very hot. The desert is a hot place, isn't it? It was very, very hot, and there was nothing that they could do because the next stop, Egypt, would be far, far away from them. So they decided to try to find the closest well, which, subhanallah, by the miracle of Allah, it was the same well that Prophet Yusuf was in. They started to dig the water. They took a bucket and they decided to dig the water to try to pull the water out of the well. But to their surprise, it was heavier than normal. What in the world could be inside this bucket? They pulled, and the bucket continued to be heavy. This could not possibly just be water. They soon got a big, big surprise. As they pulled the water out of the well, out popped a young boy, Prophet Yusuf. Alhamdulillah, Prophet Yusuf was finally saved from that dark, deep, watery well. And the people were surprised. What is this? What is this that has come out of the well? And they stared at Prophet Yusuf's face. The young boy was so handsome and his face was shining so bright that they wondered, could he be a human or an angel? Can you imagine if you saw somebody whose face was all light and there was light all around their face? So the people could not believe their eyes. They said, what kind of a miracle has emerged from this well? A person like we have never seen before, the most beautiful person on earth. They said, we must surely take him to Egypt, and maybe if we give him to a family, they will give us a lot of money. And so they decided to bring Yusuf with them to Egypt. They traveled miles and miles away from Yusuf's poor father and his home. They traveled all through the desert and the mountains, and finally, after days and days of traveling, nights and nights in the hot desert sun, they finally made it to Egypt. The people stared as they watched Yusuf being brought into Egypt. Everybody wondered how such a beautiful boy could possibly be in Egypt, and they all raced to try to adopt him and be his new family. But those men wanted a lot of money. They didn't care what good family was. They just wanted to make sure that whatever family took Yusuf, that they would give him a lot of money. And by the miracle of Allah, Yusuf alayhi salam finally found a good family. Al-Aziz, who was one of the most powerful men of Egypt, came and adopted Yusuf. And he decided that he would be like a father and take care of Yusuf for the rest of his life. Insha'Allah. We are going to stop here. Insha'Allah, in the next class, in the next story time, we're going to learn all about the interesting life of Yusuf alayhi salam and how he grew up with Al-Aziz in the home of Al-Aziz. There are many ups and downs and adventures that's about to happen in Yusuf alayhi salam's life as he grows into a young man. And we're going to learn all about it, insha'Allah. So I can't wait for you guys to join me, insha'Allah, in the next story time. And remember, if you ever need help, always go to and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he, just like he answered the dua of Yusuf, he will surely help you as well. Thank you so much for joining me, Storytimers. Jazakallahu khairan, and see you in the next video. Assalamu alaikum.